Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Miguel Perez, and today we're going to go over my settings in Apex Legends. Now, the last video that I made going over my settings in Apex, you can just, well, forget all those settings. And with the introduction of arenas into Apex Legends, I'm going to go over the new settings that I am using right now in the Emergence season. And trust me, these are an improvement compared to my other settings. And before we get started, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and do not forget that I live stream every single Wednesday and Sunday on twitch.tv/itsMiguel_Perez. I will leave it up on the screen and description box below. And now, let's get started! Okay, now let's go over my settings in Apex Legends. First things first, gameplay. Interact prompt style is set to compact. Button hints are off. Crosshair damage feedback as well as damage numbers. Damage feedback is disabled, and damage numbers I have it set to stacking. In my opinion, this just forces you to focus a little bit more when it comes to hitting your shots. Plus, stacking just looks a lot simpler in my opinion. Let me explain. Or better yet, let me demonstrate. Move on. This is how I get stacking. Switch over to floating. Looks a little bit weird in my opinion. And going for both, it just really takes up necessary space. So, have it set to stacking. Ping opacity is set to faded. Obituaries, minimap rotation, and auto cycle are all enabled. Auto sprint and double tap sprint are disabled. This is just my personal preference. Jetpack control. Well, this was a setting that was introduced during the Legacy season, and I have it set to hold. The main reason for it is because, well, since I do a lot of bunny hopping with some of the agents, and with Valkyrie with her jetpack, since I use my scroll wheel most of the time, it just makes it a little bit easier for me to control her jetpacks. Whereas if I were to set it to toggle, and if I were to use the scroll wheel, it would not turn off unless you flick it again, which is very inconvenient. So, I have it set to hold. Incoming damage feedback is set to 3D. Damage close to death box and pop-up are enabled. Streamer mode is disabled. Anonymous. Usage settings as well. Usage sharing. Man, I cannot speak today. Performance display is disabled. Club invites are enabled. And this is a setting that I've been experimenting with recently. So, I used to play without the colorblind filter. And what that does is when you aim down sights, it gives you a red crosshair. It also changes the colors of, well, everything. However, when you turn Tritanopia on, what this does is this changes the color of your crosshair from red to yellow. And in my opinion, it sticks out a lot more than the red crosshair. Plus, not to mention, everything else just gets a little bit easier to look at. So, again, let me go back to off. Take a look at all those bold colors, and let us go back to Tritanopia. It just becomes easier to look at. Anyways, everything else, subtitles disabled, subtitle size, I have it set to normal even though I don't use them. And everything else is off. Alright, that's it for my gameplay settings. Now let's move on to my mouse and keyboard settings. Now going over my mouse and keyboard settings, this is where a lot has changed. So mouse sensitivity 1.5, ADS multiplier is 1.2, Power Optic ADS sensitivity is off. Everything else on this tab is off, and let's get over to the good stuff. So, my movement keys are the exact same. My sprint key is the exact same. I have it set to C. My jump key, still my spacebar, but I also use scroll wheel down. Crouch is my left shift, and I have it set to hold instead of toggle. My tactical ability is still on my mouse, my left mouse button, fifth mouse button. Ultimate ability is my F key. Interact/pickup, I have it set to E, plus I use scroll wheel up. Alternate interact is my B key. Inventory is set to Q. My minimap is set to tab. Minimap, my full map. Attack, default. Toggle firing mode is bound to C. Aim down sights is default. Melee is set to my scroll wheel. My reload is set to R, and here we go with the bigger changes. So for the most part, I use equipped weapon 1 and equipped weapon 2 onto my number keys. Holster weapons is set to 3. My grenade is V, and this is where things start to change. So I have my equipped survival item bound to my left alt, and I have my selected health item bound to my H key. And by using the H key, it just makes it, well, it just makes it easier for me to remember. H as in health. For my syringe and my shield cells, I have those bound to 4 and 5. This is because in arenas, whenever you have a shield cell or whenever you have a syringe, and you really need to patch yourself up, just by hitting on those keys, it makes it a lot easier to, well, it makes it a lot easier to do. Med kit, shield battery 6 and 7, Phoenix kit is set to 8. My character utility action, I have that bound to my other thumb mouse button. And for that, I'm gonna have to switch over to Seer.
I'm back, my friend. Thank you.
So, the reason why I have it bound like this is because, in case you can't see, Seer's ability lets him activate his heartbeat sensor, and it's just a lot easier for me to turn it on as well as turn it off. Inspect weapon is set to I. My wheel quips are set to G. Ping is my my X key, but I double bound it to my T key. Push to talk is left control as well as N. Message team is set to enter, and all my miscellaneous stuff is unbound. Moving on to the controller, button layout is the exact same that I normally use, which is crouching with my thumbstick instead of my B button. And besides that, everything else is pretty much the exact same. I don't have anything else, I don't have anything else to showcase. Video settings. Display mode is set to full screen. Aspect ratio 16:9. Resolution 1920 by 1080. Brightness is set to 50. Field of view is maxed out. Scaling is enabled. Shaking is minimal. VSync, I have it disabled. NVIDIA Reflex is enabled plus boost. Anti-aliasing is off. Texture streaming budget, I decided to switch from using medium to low. In my opinion, I don't really see that much of a difference between using medium and low settings. In my opinion, if you have a low-end computer, I highly recommend that you go into very low or low. And if you can run the game, and I feel like you can run the game a little bit better going into medium, I would not recommend anybody maxing out the game. Texture streaming. Texture filtering is bilinear. The occlusion quality is disabled, and everything else is either low or disabled. As for my audio, discard. As for my audio, it pretty much is the exact same. I didn't change anything from it to it, but these are the settings in case you were curious. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this week's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Do not forget that I live stream every single Wednesday and Sunday on twitch.tv/Miguel_Perez. And as always, I will see you next time.